Emilio, Daphne, pleasure to be speaking with both of you today. Daphne, two-parter for you. How are you? And second, how'd you wind up in Another Day in America?
I'm great. Thank you so much. And it was all like a series of fortunate events. Emilio had found me in a magazine article of like up and coming actresses, and then he had a friend reach out to me over DM, and I got the DM and was like, "Is this fake? What is this?" I had been taking a bit of a hiatus from acting and was looking to get back into it. So it just kind of came across at the perfect time. I was definitely hungry to get into a new project.
Wow. Okay, so to follow up on that before I ask Emilio something, does that kind of give you hope about print media and that people
Totally.
actually read articles and go to that to find out within the industry what's going on?
Absolutely. I mean, that's why you should just always have yourself out there as much as possible because you never know where somebody's going to come across you and it could lead to amazing things.
So that is true. That's how you met or found Daphne in the first place, that article?
Yeah, I Googled like up and coming young African American actresses, and there was probably still there, and there was 30 of them, and some were like Zendaya, you know what I mean? So so then I was like, well, what are the ones that like that might you know, so I narrowed it down, and then I went from there.
Wow. Okay. Did any of the other people cast in Another Day in America come from similar circumstances where you found them in an article or word of mouth?
Hmm. Good question. Let me think. Well, people were recommended for sure. Guy who played Justin was recommended by someone in the cast already. He's like, "Oh, you should look at my cousin." Um, no, a lot of it was just personal relationships I already had, or personal relationships someone else already had. The character, the actor who played Scott Oliver, he helped me with Natasha and Alexis. Um, I was basically friendly with a lot of the cast. I worked with Richie and Paul before. Trying to think. Really good friends with Brian Goodman. He's like a mentor. So, uh, and then there were some people that were casted through casting agents. Like I didn't know Domain. A casting agent found uh, found her who played Star.
Gotcha. Back to you, Daphne. How similar are you to the Erin character that we see in this production?
I mean, I definitely found a lot of commonalities with her. I think she honestly really embodies kind of the Gen Z girl who's like a little bit stuck between old times where like you have to work an office job, you have to be traditional, you have to do all these things, and then she's like wants internet fame, she wants to be seen, she wants to be a star. So I mean, I could definitely relate to both of those concepts and just sort of honestly a lot of the topics that she confronts dealing with a lot of the men are I think topics that have come up in my life, have come up in a lot of my friends' life. I think there's a lot of things about her that will be relatable to a lot of young women.
In terms of your acting career, Daphne, a lot of people first discovered you from your famous soap opera role and all that, and you've done a lot since then. Did you have to shake off habits from acting on soap operas? Because obviously it's a different kind of acting than something that's very dramatic and not being filmed within a couple of days of airing.
Yeah, well, I hadn't been on the soap opera in like 10 years since we filmed this, and I had taken like a 5 year break from acting to go to college
Yes.
and just kind of figure out what I wanted to do with my life. So I was, if anything, a little rusty at acting, but I think that made me be able to come into the character more raw and more real coming out of college and like having had all these experiences. And then I worked with an acting coach because I hadn't been in a feature length drama where I had a ton of dialogue before. So it was nice to get to kind of like release, scrape everything away and be raw and natural and just kind of like come with my vulnerability to set.
Well said. Now, Emilio, did you have a personal highlight within the production of Another Day in America?
Like, was there something that I was extra proud about, or like something that I was like, oh well,
Sure.
I think just getting it made. I mean, right? Like it was a pretty small budget. It was like SAG ultra low. Uh, I put on a like it's kind of cool saying you wrote directed something, but I also like was like the craft service guy, and like I was like the had to deal with catering. You know what I mean? So I'm proud of all the hats. For a small movie, you have to do everything pretty much. I mean, I had a lot of help and support, and I was just impressed with everything. Everyone who worked on that set really gave it their all, 100%, from the PAs to all the way up. So they really, I say this a lot. I make a sports analogy that it was like Game 7 to these guys. Like everyone came
Sure.
and just, they cared, which is great.
Well, you mentioned writer, director, craft services. You didn't mention producer. You've worn other hats on other projects that you've been part of. But in the future, the next thing you work on, do you want to have 3 job titles, 4 job titles?
No, no, I actually don't want to produce myself. I think there's a benefit of having a producer by your side that's like, and I did have one. Don't get me wrong. Matt was great, but I'd rather totally eliminate that title. It's just, it's a different skill set. I've
Mhm.
always thought I could do it. Really not great at it. Uh, it's funny. I have shied away from directing most of my career, but it was probably the most natural thing to do. It's really much more natural than producing. But yeah, but I'd love to be produced and just you know tackle the job of filmmaker on set. And listen, as a director, you always got to do a little producing, right? But not to the level I did on this film, and not the level that producers do on most films. So
Right.
yeah.
Are we allowed to know what the next project from you is, or is it still under embargo?
No, no, I have two. One is called Unsolved. It's funny. I said to myself once, like, hey, I'll write. I'll definitely never direct anyone else's writing. I don't know, at least at this point in my career, like I don't want to read someone else's script and say I want to direct this. So
Sure.
everything I write going forward and everything I wrote in the past, I assume that I'm going to try to direct it. But this one project I have Unsolved, it's like this cop procedural, detective procedural about catching a serial killer that actually is recreating um, unsolved cold cases, Los Angeles high profile. So I got that, but that's with another director. I'm attached. I'm also producing that, but I'm producing it in the sense that like I just kind of lifted it off the ground a little bit, and then
Mhm.
I have another script that I just recently wrote about a year ago that revolves around the George Floyd riots here in Boston, and I think I want to direct that next. So those are the two that are within the
Stuff
next.
coming up.
It's written.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
you try to slowly get towards closer to casting and getting their money raised. It's always smart to
yeah.
have all the money there before a lot of people don't do that in producing. They cast first and raise later. So I'm trying to raise first and cast later. So
Got it. Similar question for you, Daphne. You mentioned before hiatus, you came back. Are you back or are you?
I'm back. I'm working on something right now I can't talk about, but other than that, I've also been doing a lot of my own projects, working on my social media and stuff. So if people want to keep up with me, they can find me there.
Yes, so that is true. You have a very strong game on Instagram. Now, when did the growth of that start happening? I'm back.
Kind of around the same time. I have always been interested in, I think as an actor, it's really important, honestly, to have like multiple things going on. Otherwise, like you will go crazy being just only focused on this industry because it's a crazy industry that will like break your heart and rip it out. And so I've always kind of tried to do other things at the same time, whether it's like modeling or content creation. But around the end of college, I was like, I really love fashion, and I think like I could maybe like make some money this way and do that sort of thing. So it just kind of started from there. And I live in LA, so it's kind of easy to be around that game and that industry.
And when you're not busy with acting, modeling, or the social media, do you have a main passion or a main way of decompressing from all that pressure?
I'm actually a painter. That's something not a lot of people know about me. I like don't share it
Oh,
publicly. I keep it just to myself, but yeah, I paint.
wow. Okay. Got it. So what's the best way for somebody to follow you as a painter?
There's no way. It's a secret. It's private. Maybe one day I'll do like a show with all of my paintings that I've accumulated. They're all around my house, but yeah, no, it's just something I keep to myself.
Wow, that's fantastic. Now, in your case, is there a main passion away from the writing, directing, and the forced producing?
Um, I mean, I love watching like sports sometimes, like I love like my local teams here in Boston. What do I do? I like go back to watching old reruns of like 80s sitcoms. Like I'm a fan of Taxi. But I don't have like a hobby outside of like, I just what do I do? Pretty lame. I don't really do much. No, because as a writer, when like I would love to write every day, but that kind of energy it takes to, you know, jump on that blank page and get going. I mean, so a lot of my energy is wasted towards like I'm writing when I'm not writing. Like I'm always thinking of something to write, and I'm
Sure.
always like, you know, I'm a little bit obsessed with ChatGTP a little bit. It's just like not that like in a like a real communicative way. I don't speak to it, but it's good to like flush out certain things. You know what I mean? As far as like if you're curious about a topic.
Wow. Daphne, would you say painting is the opposite of ChatGPT, or are you also into the ChatGPT world of the moment?
I can't lie, I do also use ChatGPT. It's really
Okay.
useful. Like sometimes you're just like, if you have like an uncomfortable text or an email or something that you don't want to write, it will write it for you in 1 second.
Well said. Well, I,
Yeah.
I have one question for both of you, and then I'll throw to Emilio. Obviously, Another Day in America is the greatest film of the moment. Obviously, everyone needs to see it. But what's the second best thing that you recommend to people after they've seen Another Day in America? Do you have a recent pick or recommendation?
Uh, wow, great question. Um, I really like loved The Penguin on HBO, and I really loved Andor. That's not, I mean, and I'm a big fan of like high production franchise tentpole type things. So those two were really great. It really takes a lot for me to go to the movies. Like it takes a lot. Like I think that's for most people now for some reason. But I'm looking forward to see Superman. The new trailer dropped yesterday, so that looked good.
So you're a DC guy. Got it.
Yeah, and
Daphne,
Marvel. Like I
same
like it all.
question. DC and Marvel. Daphne, do you have a recommendation, or is Another Day in America the greatest film of all time, and that's
It's
that?
the
And
only film you need to watch. There's no other movies. It's fine.
Thanks.
There's nothing else to watch. Just watch that and then watch it again and then go watch it with someone else, I think.
if you had a recommendation, I'd gladly take it
Yeah.
before I let you two go.
I really love like crime shows. I just watched, and I really like British shows. So I just watched this good show called The Stolen Girl. It's a limited series. It was really good. That's what I'd recommend.
Okay. Well, you two have given me homework to do. Thank you both for your time. Appreciate you taking the time and answering these questions, and looking forward to what the near future.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Darren.
Paltrocast.